Welcome to Two Sweet Lambruscos. How are you? Huh? How you doing? How are you? Hope you're having a good week. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be recording. I'm doing all right. Feel like I'm in a good mental space where I'm just enough out of my mind that this might be funny. I got a lot to talk about today. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but I do have a lot to talk about. So I hope that you're excited. And I hope that you enjoy this because I enjoy making it. So I hope that you enjoy listening to it. That's how this relationship should work. You know, on some level, be it digital, there should be some kind of give and take here. Like I want you to enjoy taking what I'm giving you. So we'll get right into it. Yeah, what are we? What's the date today? It's Thursday. Thursday, March 14th, 2024. Almost a quarter of the way through the new year already. And it's flying by. I mean, I got to be honest. I remember during COVID, time was standing still, and I loved every second of it. Seemed like it would take, you know, a month to get through a week. And I think part of that too had to do with you know, like our when our minds are less occupied, when everyone's not always rushing to do stuff. Like I think I got a taste of a life that I've always wanted during COVID. And I got to tell you, it was one of the saddest days of my life when the stay-home orders ended. It was like a part of me got buried. Part of me died. But anyway, yeah, we're already halfway through March, almost to, first 4 months. We're past daylight savings time, that stupid fucking tradition that makes no sense. I don't understand it. I don't. Like, I understand the premise of it and why we do it. I just don't know. I don't know why we should do it. I think it's fucking stupid. Like, nobody wants to lose an hour of sleep. Like, yeah, you adjust to it and whatever, but still, that fucking hour of sleep, man. I don't want to get up an hour early. It's dumb. I have to get up early enough for school. So the Monday after we turned the clocks ahead, so the clocks went ahead at like 2 a.m. I had to be up. Like when it went from 2 to 3, I had to wake up for school. So that really was an hour that I fucking lost. It was ridiculous. I don't like it. Daylight saving time can eat a bag of shit. So, today in Southern California, it started late last night, maybe like midnight, I don't know. It is windy. The wind was a-blowing. It's calmed down now, but where I work, I usually have the front door open and a big flag out front, a big one of those big feather flags. And when I say big, I mean big. It's like 25 feet fucking tall. It's a big flag. And these things are built to stand the test of time and weather. And this thing was no match for the wind out here today. It kept blowing off the fucking the spike you put in the ground, and then you put the flag on it. Usually it's okay. Rainstorms, it's fine. Yeah, it blew off that thing like twice, and after the second time, I was like, all right, fuck this. And I couldn't even keep the door open. I had papers blowing off my desk, so I just sat in this dark, dingy fucking office for 8 hours today. And like no air coming through here, and like usually with the front door open and the back open, the back door open, the garage bay, I could sit here, there could be customers here, I could be farting, and it's just blowing right the other way. It's fine, and nobody knows what's going on. But today, it was more like when you're inside of an airplane with like recycled air. So if I'm in here and I'm farting, it's just gonna linger. It's just gonna stay there, just hang out, going fucking like seeping its way into everything, and that's not a good look. But I don't know. No one came in today, so it didn't really fucking matter. But speaking of wind and stink not going away. So today on my work today on my way to work, I did something horrible, and I mean, I'm not like averse to doing horrible things. Like I'm fine with that. However, today it was just something I just I witnessed something. So like okay, so I'm on driving to work today, and the way I go to work, I found a route that like heavily cuts out the amount of Asians that I have to deal with on the road. So the way that I was coming to work, I was at an intersection. It was at I think I was on Bashad and Heil, and I was getting ready to turn onto Heil and take Heil down, and then I was going to turn left on Magnolia and get on the 405. And so I'm waiting at this at this light, and the wind was whipping. Like the wind, these wind gusts must have been at least 50, 60 miles an hour. And I'm sitting in my car, and I look over, and there's this hobo, this homeless person. He's pushing his house around in the cot, and I don't know, his living room and his parlor and his dining room were just blowing out of the cot and shit. And every time he'd stop to pick up the stuff that was blowing out, more shit would blow out of the cot. And then at one point the wind was so strong it just knocked his cot over, and the guy just like plopped down on the ground, and he was just like sitting there like just absolutely devastated. He didn't know what all this shit was blown away, and people were just doing nothing, just like driving by and or walking, not really walking by, but people just like he was invisible basically. Well, I don't know why or how that guy was invisible. I was laughing my ass off. Like it was just. It was funny. Like I would have been laughing if that was happening to a non-homeless person. If it was like someone walking down the street and like they whatever they had on them was blown away. Like it was funnier because he was a homeless guy and he was just pushing all the shit that he's collected over the last God knows how many years. And normally like okay yeah I would have probably felt bad for laughing, but I would have forgotten about it in like 5 minutes. But on this particular day today, I'm laughing my ass off, and I look back over at him after like 30 seconds of laughing, and he's looking right at me, and he's just like so fucking devastated, and just like this was like the most homeless person I've ever seen in my life. Like this dude was homeless. Like that guy has not had a home probably in a long time. Like he was very homeless. And I'm laughing at the guy. And like he's looking at me, and now I'm just like, oh fuck. I'm like, I gotta fucking do something for this guy. Like, I'm not gonna like go help him pick up his stuff. Like I already have a hard enough time getting to work on time. And so what I did was instead of turning on the Heil and keep driving, what I did was I turned on the Heil, but right in the corner right there is Glee Donuts in this tattoo parlor. So like I pulled into that parking lot and I went over to the guy and I was like, hey man, I'm sorry I was laughing at you. I'm just not used to seeing, the wind, blow a guy's house away. That's what I said to him. He's like, well, I'm not Dorothy. I'm like, yeah, I know. Dorothy had a house fucking blow away, like an actual house. And the guy's like, oh, this sucks. He was just fucking, reeked of piss and booze. So I was like, hey man, I'm sorry about all your stuff. I'm not gonna pick that shit up because I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. But I'm like, here's $20. I happen to have a 20 on me, so I gave it to him, and he was like, oh, thanks. I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, good luck. And I got into my car and I drove away. Now I'm not justifying the story by saying like, oh, I'm a good guy because I gave him $20. Like that's not what I'm saying. But the only reason I did give him that money is because he caught me laughing at him. And I do believe that if I would have encountered that guy again in like a vulnerable, like if I was not in a car, if I was just like walking, that guy, by the time he saw me again, I'm sure would have collected something in that cot that he would have used to kill me. So now maybe he'll remember, like, oh yeah, that fucking asshole laughed at me, but he gave me $20. And $20 for a hobo, like, that'll get him drunk, like, for a while. I mean, I remember when I was drinking, if I had $20, like, that's like 3 of those gallon fucking plastic jugs of vodka. Like, he's good. And maybe like a, whatever, at McDonald's, so he can get himself, a couple fucking filet-o-fishes or whatever those people eat. But yeah, he caught me. I was gut busting laughing, and like he just looked over at me, and that look, I don't know what it was, but it was bad. Like he was not happy. But anyhow, yeah, I guess you could say I paid for my sins. That's one way to put it. What else are we gonna talk about? The hobo. Okay, so here's another thing. So last night, I leave work, and I'm sorry, it was not last night. It was the night before. It was Tuesday. So I'm leaving work, and I'm supposed to go hang out with my girlfriend after work, and she lives literally like across the street from a Dairy Queen. And so she texts me and she was like, hey, when you get off work, can you stop at Dairy Queen? I want a Blizzard. I'm like, are you at home? She's like, yeah. I'm like, why can't you go? And she's like, well, you're going to be on your way here. Why can't you? I'm like, yeah, but like, why? Like, are you unable to go? Like, are you okay? And she's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, so why don't you fucking walk over there and get one? Now, you okay. Now you may be thinking like, you're a fucking asshole. Just go get your girlfriend a Blizzard. And yeah, on the surface, that's what it looks like, that I'm an asshole. However, that attitude is not like the attitude I gave her. That's not just something I pulled out of the fucking ground. Like I just decided to be an asshole. I've always been an asshole. But this girl has me do shit for her all the time. All the time. And I'm just like, yeah, all right, whatever, I'll do it. Like I was just talking about it last night with my buddy. Like she'll just hand me hundreds of dollars and be like, "Oh, I need you to go get this and this. Like go get a gift from my sister." And it's like, dude, I barely know your sister. You want me to go get gifts for her? And it's such an asinine thing like for her to ask me to do, especially given my history of being forgetful. Like I never ever carry cash on me. So if somebody gives me cash, like I'll just put it in my pocket and forget about it. And like she gave me $400 to go to Nordstrom and a place I never shop, by the way. Like I'll go to Nordstrom Rack, but I there's nothing for Nordstrom. Like they sell nothing that I need or want. And she's like, oh, because her sister was coming into town, and she was like, oh, like can you go get her a couple gifts? And she said she like this time she actually like gave me like a few things that she wanted me to get. She's like, oh, get like 2 of these 4 things or whatever, which I had forgotten about. I knew that that I had like only one of the things was available. But anyway, like I totally forgot about it. And then I'm doing laundry, and probably like a couple weeks later or a week later or whatever it was, like the day before the party, and I always check my pockets when I'm doing a wash. Like, I don't know why. I think it's just a habit I picked up from my sisters. But, and I pulled out like $400. Like 4, like fresh, crisp, out of the bank, $100 bills folded in half in my pocket. And I'm just like, huh, where the fuck did this come from? Like, whatever. I put it in the pockets of the pants I'm wearing and put the clothes in. And I would have forgotten about it again if my girlfriend hadn't called me like I think it was a few hours later, and she was like, "Hey, did you pick up those gifts from my sister?" And I was like, I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, good. She's coming in tomorrow. The party's tomorrow, so she make sure you bring them with you." And I'm like, "Fuck." I'm like, "That's what that money was for." So now I gotta, book ass over to Nordstrom Rack, like Nordstrom in the morning before they open down at South Coast Plaza, which is also a nightmare. It's like 20 minutes away. And I get there, and I actually, like, when I remembered what it was for after she called me, I knew I had to have like that text message from her still, because it wasn't that long ago, of the picture she sent me. And so I got down to Nordstrom Rack, and I was talking to the lady working there, and I'm like, "Oh, I need 2 of these 4 things." And she's like, "Oh, we only have 1 of them." And I was like, "All right, listen." I'm like, my girlfriend gave me money a couple weeks ago, like a week ago, to buy these gifts to her sister, and I totally forgot about it. I just happened to find the money today, and she called me, and I told her that I already got them. So, and she was like, "Well, why'd you do that?" And I'm like, "Why did I do what?" She goes, "Why did you lie to your girlfriend?" And I was like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Because I do this all the time." She's like, "You lie all the time?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, whenever she gives me something to do, I forget. And the girl's just like, Jesus. I'm like, "Come on, help me out here." I'm like, "Can you please just fucking help me?" I'm like, "Other than this, I'm a good boyfriend." And she was like, "All right, whatever." She's like, the look on her face was like, "Yeah, I fucking don't believe you, but all right, I'll help you." So anyway, she got me this other thing and whatever, and I brought it to the party. And like, later that night, where she's opening gifts, and my girlfriend just leans over to me, because we're outside, like at a bonfire. And she like leans over to me, and she's like, "You fucking totally forgot to get those gifts, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yep." And whatever, she thought it was funny, because the gifts I got, the other gift that I got that the girl picked out at the store, was, she really liked it. I guess she apparently liked it better than the original gift. So anyway, yeah. So that happened. But so anyway, so yeah. So last night, I'm going over to my girlfriend's, and I'm stopping at Dairy Queen. So I pull into the Dairy Queen, and there's a drive-through. So I go through the drive-through, and I get the Blizzards, and I'm about to leave, and this guy, like in the parking lot, like right when you turn off of Valley View, there's a stop sign. So you pull in, there's a Dairy Queen to the left, and there's a Shakey's to the right. And when you pull in, before you can turn right to go to Shakey's or left to go to Dairy Queen, there's a stop sign. And so I'm leaving Dairy Queen, and I'm going straight, and I'm just about to cross over this stop sign, and this guy just comes barreling ass in, goes bombing through the stop sign, bangs a right, almost hits me. So I honk my horn. The guy just keeps going, and he turns into the Shakey's parking lot, and I see him park his car and go inside. Now, I gave this guy the benefit of the doubt briefly, and I never give anybody the benefit of the doubt. But the reason I gave this guy the benefit of the doubt is because I had a friend who I was driving with, and he had to shit very, very badly. And he lived in Cyprus, which in this route, if you're taking Valley View, is on the way to his house. And he was like, had to shit so bad that he was like lifting himself off the chair while he was driving and clenching his ass cheek shut. He's like, "I gotta shit." And so he fucking does a beeline into Shakey's, and he's running to go inside Shakey's, just like this guy did. And my buddy wasn't able to make it to the toilet, and he shit his pants in the middle of Shakey's. True story. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's what's going on with this guy. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's not, like it's not unlikely. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's there's a possibility it may be what's happening. So I'm like, all right. So now I'm getting curious. So I quickly pull over so I can see inside the Shakey's, just as this guy's running inside. And this guy did not run to the bathroom. He didn't make a beeline there. He didn't stop and shit his pants. He went right to the front of the line, actually cut people, and went to the front of the line and ordered, and then pulled a cup, got a drink, and sat down and just folded his hands and waited. Now, This is what I am having a hard time wrapping my head around. Who the fuck in the history of however long Shakey's has been around wants to eat their food so badly that they almost crash into somebody blowing a stop sign, cut people in line? Like, who wants to eat Shakey's that bad? So I was like, all right, I'm not going to be the guy that goes into the restaurant and tells this guy to fuck off for almost cutting me off and almost hitting me, or because he's a a line cutter. Nobody likes that. Those are two things that nobody likes. Someone who fucking blows through stop sign and cuts people off, and someone who cuts in line. Like, this guy clearly, unanimously, is a piece of shit. But I'm not going to be the guy that goes in there and says anything. So I'm going to be the guy that sits in my car and waits for him to come out and tells him what a piece of shit he is. That's exactly what I did. I didn't care that my girlfriend was calling and texting me, asking me where I was. I didn't care that her fucking Blizzard was melting, and that I was eating mine while I was waiting. I was going to tell this guy what was up. And luckily for me, and for the situation, this guy, this fucking hot-on, scoffed the food down like he was living in a third world country for 6 months and just got back. So I don't know what's going on with this guy. Clearly, one thing we know for sure is that he's inconsiderate. He's an inconsiderate piece of shit. That much we know. What I don't know is why he's behaving like this. And is this how he behaves at any restaurant he goes? Or is it just this obsession like that he has with Shakey's? I don't know, but I need to find out. So I had time to sit there and think while I was eating my Blizzard. And I was like, all right, I'm not just going to walk up to the guy when he comes out and tell him he's a piece of shit. I'm going to find out what's going on. I'm going to take a different approach. So finally, this inconsiderate prick stands up, and I noticed that he doesn't even leave a tip. I mean, I don't eat at Shakey's. I've never been to that Shakey's, but generally, when you get done, you put a few bucks on the table, because people were bringing him food. It's not like you walk up there and get it. So at this point, it's my contention that he's also doesn't tip, which makes him even more of a piece of shit. So that we've established. He's inconsiderate. So anyway, he comes out, and I get out of my car, and I realize that this guy's like 5'4". And generally, I don't respect people that are that short, just as a rule of thumb. And I already hate this guy, so he's down in the count. So anyways, I stand up, and I mean, I'm just under 6 feet. I'm not that tall, but I'm a big guy. Like, just if you're 5'4", and you recognize the car that you cut off and almost hit, and realize he's been sitting there waiting for you for a half hour, and then I get out of the car. I mean, if that guy didn't shit his pants when he got in there, he's shitting his pants now. So I get out of the car, and I stand up, and the guy kind of like looks at me, and I go, "Excuse me." I'm like, "You cut me off when you were coming in here." I'm like, from what I can tell, for no other reason, is that you wanted to eat Shakey so badly that you were willing to risk your life and the people around you. I'm like, but then I noticed that you cut everybody in line and you didn't leave a tip. But I'm like, I just gotta know, like, do you act like this when you go out to eat anywhere, or is it just a thing with Shakey's? I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's with this behavior? And the guy like looks at me. And he's like, just deadpan looking at me. And I'm just like, what's up? Like, are you going to answer me? And then in some language, I don't know what it was, he said something. And I was just like, what the fuck? So I pulled my phone out and I clicked on translate and I said, what? And he said it again. And apparently it was like Farsi or some shit. I don't remember what the exact language was. And he was saying, I don't speak English. So I said into my phone, "Why are you?" And I couldn't. I figured like an easy word for it to translate would be dick, rather than asshole or inconsiderate prick. So I just said, "Why are you a dick?" And then my phone said it in that language, and the guy was like, "No, no, no," or whatever the fuck he said. Then he said like da da da, and then the word that I said, I think he was saying like, "No, I'm not a dick." And then I said into my phone, "Yes, you are." And then I realized after like 2 minutes, this guy is arguing with my phone because everything I'm saying is my phone saying, and he's saying it back. And eventually, I was just like, into my phone, I'm like, "Do better at life," and I said it to him, and the guy was just like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and he got into his car and drove away. You know what? See, in the beginning of the story, I told you guys that I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and then while I was sitting there eating, my curiosity overtook my fucking want to kill this guy. I should have just, when he came down, I should have just punched him in the fucking head. That's what I should have done. Because my left hand is broken, so he would have got punched with my right, which is far less powerful than my left. But it still would have fucked him up. The guy was a midget. I don't know, lesson learned, right? You almost cut me off, then you cut people in line, you don't tip, and you're not shitting your pants in the Shakeys. Then, yeah, you're going to get punched in the head. Maybe what I'll do is I'll find that hobo that I laughed at earlier, and I'll pay him an X amount of money to just to go to fucking fuck the guy up. I'll have to find both of them again, but I mean, well, there's a will, there's a way, right? I don't know. But Southern California, man, it's been I got my buddy Bobby lives down here. He lives in Huntington Beach. Really nice house. Gorgeous wife, just they had a daughter a couple years ago. Jesus Christ, I don't even remember her name. I don't know what it is. Like Abigail or I don't know. It's not Abigail. I don't know. I have no idea what her name is. And regardless, this dude's done well for himself. He makes good money. Well, we're talking the other day, and he's just like bitching about like, fucking all the money my wife spends. And first of all, this dude's wife is a babe. Like, if that's what it costs to have this woman fucking you, then like I'm gonna do this, suck it up. But and whatever. That's just part of it. But and he's bitching about like, I had to like he runs his own business, but then he had to get another job, just to supplement his income, and he's just complaining about it. And I'm like, dude, what do you want me to tell you, dude? I'm like, buy a Kia Rio and move to fucking Riverside County. Like, fucking, it's expensive here. Like, and your outlay on lifestyle makes it even more expensive, And his whole argument was like, yeah, well, you're a minimalist. Like, you don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm a minimalist. Like, I don't need fucking the big, huge, fucking garish monstrosity of a house. I don't want kids. I'm gonna be making great money after I graduate. I think that the thing that I spend the most money on, like that, like I don't have to spend money on, is probably either cigars or like books. Like, and that's probably it. And I'm not talking about my books for school. I mean, like books to read. Like, I like to read. And this guy, like, yeah, I do spend a good amount of money on my car, but I really like my car, and it's an older car, so it costs money to maintain it, to keep it running the right way. But I mean, this dude, like, he spends money on stuff, and he's like telling me about it, and I'm like, dude, that's so fucking unnecessary. Like, you don't need to buy that. Like, why do you need that? I don't like go to his house, and we'll be in his kitchen. Go, you want a cup of coffee? And like, and like, I love coffee. I like drinking coffee. I like a good espresso. And he has this like fucking coffee maker, this Italian coffee maker. And yeah, it makes great coffee, but it was like $7,500. That's so much money to spend on something to make you an espresso. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's like an industrial, like that's expensive. Almost $8,000. That's insane. Insane. And then he's got this toilet in his house that fucking sucks. I'm like, dude, if you're going to spend that much money, buy a new toilet. I'm like, just don't get the ones that are wall mounted. But get a new toilet. Yeah, dude, that's what you should do. If I had $7,500 was burning a hole in my pocket and I was going to spend it on something, it would not be an Italian coffee machine. It would be a toilet that wipes my ass for me. Like a heated toilet that wipes my ass for me. It's got a bidet. It cleans me out. It's self-cleaning. Like I would think that for $7,500 you can get a toilet with those features. But it's fucking like a coffee maker, and the coffee wasn't even that good. And the coffee that he had, the beans that he had, he's like, oh, they cost like this, but it was like $100 or something, which is also an absurd amount of money to spend on a pound of coffee beans. And I have a French press at my house that cost me $15, and I have an electric water kettle that cost me, I think, $12, and I have a coffee that I get, the beans, that's like $8 all in. That's less than $40, and my coffee tastes better. Like his tastes burnt. I don't know what if he didn't clean. I don't know what was going on, but if that's how the coffee always tastes out of the $7,500 machine, he got consumer raped, and it was gross. I mean, okay, it wasn't gross, but it was not that good. Like it was worse than Starbucks, which is saying a lot, because Starbucks is not that good either, especially for what they charge you. But it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna don't bitch at me about money if you're dropping almost $8,000 on a coffee machine. Like if he was just bitching about money because like his wife spends money like crazy, then like whatever. I'm still gonna say the same thing, dude. Like, yeah, did that girl fucks you every day, dude? Whatever, deal with it. Like, if it's just that she spends money, whatever. I mean, like, I know the girl. She's not a bitch at all. She's a really cool girl, and she's like 9 years younger than him. Like, he was fucking crushing it with this girl. And I'm just like, dude, yeah, whatever. Like, that's how much it costs to have your wife who's almost 40 look like she's fucking 23. Like, oh, man. Yeah, it was, I don't know, it's just funny. I'm just like listening to the guy. And I'm like, dude, you have a pretty awesome life. Like, you're a white guy, you're under 50 years old. You're like, I think he's like 44 maybe. And, he's got a beautiful wife, he's got a beautiful home. I mean, he makes good money. His daughter's fucking really cool, like his little baby daughter. It's like, dude, it's not that bad. Stop bitching about money. He's a great guy. He's one of the best guys I know. I've known him since I moved out here. He's one of my oldest friends, and it's quality problems. That's what it is. And I don't know, but I love being around him though. He makes me laugh. He's a good dude. But I'm like, dude, quit bitching. It's like whatever. Like that's my solution. Get rid of your Audi. Get rid of your wife's Mercedes. Buy fucking his and her Kia Rios and move to Hemet. Get a duplex in Hemet. Your overhead will drastically drop. Yeah, he thought that was funny, but he wasn't taking it seriously. So, there's a lot going on in my life coming up, and I am taking total advantage of it for this podcast. So, I'm going to talk about my guests that are upcoming on this show. But real quick, by the way, before I do that, I just want to talk about how the Celtics are killing it right now. They just played the Suns at home. They crushed them. Jaylen Brown had like 38 points. They're out of control. Baseball starts soon, I think a couple weeks, and my hometown team, the Boston Red Sox, are opening up the season in Anaheim. So me and my buddies are going to go to that game, one of the games. They're here for 3 or 4 games. We're going to go to a couple of them, or one of them. So that's exciting. I haven't been to a baseball game out here. I didn't go at all last season. The season before, I think I went. But yeah, so that's going to be fun. And yeah, that's my sports. Oh, it's Syracuse. Fuck, it's Syracuse, man. They finished off the season strong, got the 20 wins, were looking good. They beat North Carolina, who was like ranked number 3. And they were looking great. And then they played the first game of the ACC tournament against North Carolina State, who they beat twice this year. And they get blown out in the second half and lose. I was so mad yesterday that I had to like turn my phone off. Because like all my friends that went to Syracuse with me, they're calling me and texting me, and I'm just like, guys, I can't talk about this right now. Because like, I mean, I love Syracuse, I love basketball, but I'm not the kind of guy that wants to talk about like, oh, they could have done this or they could have done that, or they played this way or they played that way, and it's like, dude, will you shut the fuck up? Like, these people have never played organized basketball in their life, and all of a sudden they're experts on it because they've been watching it for 20 years. So it's like, dude. And some of the shit they say is so fucking stupid. They're like second guessing the head coach, Gene Autry. Yeah, it's his first year as coach because Boeheim retired. But it's like the guy played at Syracuse. He's been playing basketball his whole life. He's been on the bench as an assistant coach for like 10, 15 fucking years. It's like he knows what he's doing. And then you got my idiots who are sitting at home on the couch with fucking chips on their shirt, fucking sucking down friggin' probably fucking Bud Light. Oh, I can't believe it. He coached it wrong. It's like, all right, you idiots. I literally had to like block them all for the day. I didn't want to talk about it. It was pissing me off. But yeah, so they lost. I don't know if they're going to make the tournament now, but either way, Gene Autry's first season, Jim Boeheim, he's missed the Syracuse. Like, those are big shoes to fill, so I think he's done a great job regardless if they get in or if they don't. But anyhow, so speaking of Syracuse, I'm gonna go like, usually I'll talk like who's my next guest, and then I'll go down the list as the dates go on. But since we're on the topic of Syracuse, so I'm going back home at the beginning of May, end of April, so I can graduate, and I'm gonna be back there. And my mom and my girlfriend are gonna come on the podcast on May 1st. That's gonna be fun. And then on Friday, May 3rd, I'm actually gonna have Syracuse legend and current assistant coach Jerry McNamara on the podcast. I reached out to Mac, and I was texting him. I'm like, hey, man, because I knew him when I was in college. A few years older than me. Actually, yeah, he had already graduated by the time I got there. But, I was always hanging around, the team and stuff, like watching the games and going to practices. That's pretty much when I was supposed to be in class, but, But, I've known the guy. Well, we're not like friends, but I've known him for a long time. And so I hit him up, and he was like, yeah. He's like, that's fine. I'll do it. We'll talk. So it's going to be a sports-based podcast, that episode. So I'm really excited about that. And then on Saturday, the day before I'm going to sit down with the dean of the Maxwell School, which is the public affairs and School of Citizenship and Public Affairs, where I got my undergrad and I'm getting my graduate degree from at Syracuse, the Maxwell School. And I'm going to sit down with Dean David Van Slyke, who is one of my favorite people I've ever met in the world. He's extremely intelligent, knowledgeable. He's one of the nicest guys. He's very fair. He's a great dean. And I have a ton of respect for him, and he knows how much I respect him. And he said he's happy to do it. He said that I need to clean it up because apparently he listens to it, which I think is hilarious. And I'm like, no, I want to talk about the institution of Syracuse and the Maxwell School. And he was like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Just keep it clean. He kept saying that, keep it clean. Yeah. And then now moving forward, so on March 6th, or not March 6th, March 16th, March 6th, I can't even read my own handwriting. They say people with bad handwriting are geniuses, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to have my friend Ting. She is of an minority persuasion, some sort of Asian. I'm not sure which one. I don't remember. I think she's Chinese and Taiwanese. But yeah, I'm going to have her on the show. And then on March 20th, I'm going to have my old buddy Derek, who I affectionately call Dick Out. I don't know why, but he thought it was funny, so it stuck. So yeah, so I got so my friend Ting on the 16th of this month, and then Derek on the 20th of this month, and then this is the big one. This is my favorite one. All of my sisters are going to be on the 27th. They're coming out here to visit me, and all of them. It's going to be 7 people doing the podcast, so that's going to be amazing. And then May 1st, my mother and my girlfriend. And then May 4th, Jerry McNamara, the assistant coach of Syracuse basketball. And then on the 4th, Dean David Van Slyke, Dean of the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs at Syracuse University. Go Orange. Very excited. So, that's just gonna about do it. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. I'm not going to bore you guys with the sponsorship ads. You can choose to listen to them if you want after you record this. But thank you for listening. Thank you, Australia, for your continued support. And we'll see you on the 16th. Some Asian funniness. So, two Sweet Lambruscos, Paulie Firm here signing out. Good night. Austin, Texas, wherever you are.